you get to hear. She's going to talk about her life story a little bit. She'll answer questions at the end. But this is Mrs. Mary Tyner. She is Mary Padilla's grandmother. She is a teacher here, but she's also a teacher in North Carolina. And we are starting today our unit on racial reconciliation. And you may not have noticed, but I am white. And I don't feel particularly, I'm all kind of waspy. I'm just like, everything waspy. So I just put that on the video. So I don't feel qualified to speak to this. I believe passionately in it, and you will find that as we go along. But I want someone who's lived it. So I present to you whom I love.
She's white. I never knew that. That was good. I'm going to say holy back to the thing. I am Mary Margaret's grandmother, Mary Anna McCain Tyner Ingram. Been married twice. Both my husbands are deceased. And I'm a widow. I had 4 children. Mary's mother passed away about a year and a half ago when I first came. So now I have my 2 girls and 4 grandchildren. But that's not why I'm here. I've seen some of you sing and dance. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. But she has asked me to speak on my life. I just had a birthday about 2 weeks ago, and I told the last class I bought myself a Jeep Grand Cherokee. Oh, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. Wait, look at me. How old do you think I am? Anybody? Raise your hand. I won't.
65.
Good. Thank you for noting. Remember, Mary's 15. Anybody else?
58.
Good. Okay. 60. Okay. Come on, girls. I hit 70 last week, so week before last. So whoever said 65, you're close. You're close. You're close. 70 years old. So I've seen and heard and done a lot in my 70 years. This social reintegration or reconciliation, what is that? That's a big word for me. I'm from North Carolina. We use little bitty words. So what's this reconciliation? What is it? Attach that word and use racial in front of it. So what would that be? Racial reconciliation. I thought you told me they talked. Reconciliation, what is that?
To make right, like maybe in a certain situation with other races, between other races, to
Okay.
make something right.
Make it right. All right, that's a good one. Anyone else? Read it there. Okay, I like that.
Like fellowship with each other.
I like that. Like fellowship. I want you to remember that. Something else. What is racial reintegration? What does reintegration mean? Is this the only smart one in class?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think she's gonna be valedictorian.
Oh, okay.
It's being put back into something. So like when you leave a basket, if there's like a string that's put out, you put it back in. So like put something back together.
And I love that basket. Y'all see the way a basket is weaved? I just see that's better. Can I just put one thing together and make a basket? That's just a string or a piece of wood. But when I've got things meshed together, reconciliated, reintegrated, it goes back to norm. Okay. All these racial unrest protests, how do y'all feel about that? And I take anything, so tell me. I've seen it, heard it all. And be kind to each other. Y'all thinking? What do you think about it?
I don't think the majority of people's hearts are in the right place.
Okay. And what do you mean by that?
I mean, we have a generation of people who not only are trying to strive for reconciliation, but almost have a sense of entitlement to certain aspects of their race, like what they deserve.
I don't deserve nothing I don't get. I don't. That's about it. Yes.
Opening old wounds.
Opening old wounds. Have they ever been closed? Or has a band-aid? I just had surgery on this hand. There's a band-aid on it. But if you wash it, this what's gonna happen after I hit water on this band-aid? It's gonna start coming off. It gets infected, but it starts coming off, doesn't it? And it shows the wound. And I'm gonna get back to the word dormant. Use the word dormant. You look like you got a lot of it.
About like the
Yes.
I think there's a lot of hate happening towards both sides,
Okay.
and it just inflates the problem.
Okay. What do you think we should do to get it where it is dormant again, or where it is to the point where we are actually loving one another?
I don't know.
Since you're, and I think she's here, brought me here today because I'm gonna start back. I was born and raised in North Carolina. My great grandparents, great grandparents, were sharecroppers. My dad was an adopted father. His father came from Ireland. I mean, Irish. That's right, McCain. Uh, my grandmother and mother were Lumbee Indians, African Americans. So I have a little bit of everything in this body, 70 years worth of it. But I also had a grandmother and grandfather who had to fight off Ku Klux Klan in their front yard. And I was a toddler, 3, 4 years old. So in the last 70 years, I've had to look past all that and become the nurturing woman that I am today at 70 years old, driving a Cherokee. Yeah. But we've had to look back at those days. And I'll start back in those young days when I was going to grandma's house, my great grandmother's house. Uh, in the apple orchard and peach orchard that she had in the front window, and I could smell the apple cobblers and apple pies that she'd sit on the window as the horses and the cows would come to the window to smell her good, delicious apple pies sitting there, and thinking how much these parents loved their children and loved me as a grandchild. But they still had to suffer at the hands of people who hated them because of their skin color. And that took a lot out of me as a child. But mom said, and grandma said, and great grandma always said, you love them because they're God creatures, no matter who they are, no matter what color their skin are. We are Indians, Irish, African Americans. As I grew up in Lumbee territory in North Carolina and South Carolina border, and was raised in North Carolina and lived in a small community. I lived when there was a time when there were signs on the door that said colored only. But I didn't know what color was. And my mother would tell me, we have gone through 4 different eras of what we were called. We were called Negro, the profanity the profanity language of Negro. I don't know what that is. I don't use it. But also blacks, African American, and we've gone through all of those. So to see colored on the doorway, we knew not to go in that door. Or we saw colored on the water fountain that we couldn't drink out of because we could drink out of, but no one else could. Or our bathroom was at the back of the service station to use. Those are the type of things I grew up with as a young girl. And seeing Ku Klux Klan in my grandfather's, great grandfather's yard. That's what I saw as a child. How do I change that anger, as someone said before, anger, and get that reintegration that we've not, that godly love that grandma and grandpa were always talking about? How do I get that instilled in me? So I'm not hating everybody I come up against because they're not the same shade I am. And my mother told me I was pecan tan. So I think that's about right. So just look at my skin color. I think on the inside, and I didn't say this the last time, but I think I'm running the same red blood. Everybody got red blood. What did Christ died? What the other day? What was he bleeding? Blood. I'm sure it was red blood. When we look at how we talk to one another, I speak English, but I know some. I don't speak Indian. I don't know how to speak that. My grandmother and grandfather didn't teach me how to speak Lumbee. I don't know how to speak that language. But I knew how to respect my elders. I knew how to treat neighbors that were not